So do you think there will be an opportunity for medical tourism where people, so scared of hygiene standards, so concerned about hygiene and things like that?
I think they're going to expect a new level of hygiene in all hotels where they will go. But I think, to me, the medical wellness is more about helping your immune system, helping, give you vitamin C, give you anti-aging, things that are going to make you healthier, and your vacation or staycation or whatever it happens to be is going to be now more meaningful than it used to be.
Yeah. Okay. So that come back to a letter that you wrote to the Prime Minister a few months ago regarding Airbnb. Do you think the co-sharing economy will change?
Yes, I do. I think, we've already seen Airbnb is also suffering like the rest of us, but, I think the disadvantage in this new norm or the new environment that we're going to see is that people are going to be much more conscious of the hygiene of the places where they're staying. And how can they be assured that if they're a guest in someone's house or, a condominium, that has it really been prepared, that it's safe? And, when it comes to safety and health, sometimes average room rates go out the window. So even though you could save money going somewhere else, do you want to risk your health? So I think that's going to change. I think now with, the possibility of flights being canceled, other things, I think even the OTAs are going to find it a little more difficult. People may be more trusting of making their booking with a hotel. If they have to cancel it or whatever, they're going to get their money back.
It's true.
They're not going to worry that the OTA is,
Yeah. Did you get the response from the Prime Minister?
No.
No?
He's been very busy with other things, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he should.
But we did ask them, I told them that we were very concerned. Back in the beginning, I sent a letter regarding I felt we've had to close down in Thailand, and we closed our hotels.
Yeah.
And the government did eventually bring about the emergency decree, and we've closed down pretty tight, cut off alcohol, quarantine, work from home, etc. But now, I think what everybody's realizing is that, we now have to begin to reemerge. And for sure, I'm not sure whether there'll be a second wave or there'll be a few more cases, but we're going to have to live with this virus. So what we mustn't do is start to close again or quarantine again.
Like go over again.
Yeah, so we're going to have health issues. We're going to have a lot of things that are going to happen, but we must keep opening up the economy. It's not the virus that's going to kill us. It's the economic situation. It's going to wipe people out. We'll probably have more people dying from other things related to the virus.
Yeah.
Suicide, you name it. There's people that are afraid to go to hospitals to get regular treatments for how many cases of cancer have not been diagnosed. There's no cures for cancer. There's no cures for AIDS, influenza. So, and we live with those things, and many of them kill more people than even COVID. So we're going to have to learn to live with this one. It'd be great if we can get a vaccine, and then we can all travel safely and freely and whatnot. But until then, we're going to have to live with it, and we've got to try and figure out how to save our economy.
Yeah, I agree. We've been affected everywhere we could imagine, and I guess for everyone as well. So let's come back to my other question, which is, I've been talking to a few people's hotel owners and hoteliers about what would happen after, COVID, post-COVID, what hotels would look like. Some people say, we want social distancing. We're not very social distancing right now, but people will want to have more exclusivity. Thinking about more luxury segment will grow. But some people will also argue that we need more of the social connection because we're animals, we are herd animals. Which way do you think the hotels will go? Or
I think initially you're going to see more awareness for obviously hygiene and social distancing and all things. Over time, I think you're going to see it become, as COVID fades, either because of a vaccine or because of acceptance or the herd mentality, and we all have immunity, you're going to see that fade. And then you're going to see sporting events, you're going to see other things come back again. So there'll be less pressure on that. But, for sure, I think there'll be a higher level of hygiene and awareness. Hotels will have to adapt to that and make sure they can deliver that. We have new programs within the Anantaras, the Avanis, all to ensure the safety of of our staff and the guests. So that's the new norm.
Yeah. Does it make sense to you though when you build a hotel where in a prime location where land price is so crazy, and then everyone need this social distancing according to law, that you need to sit like keep each other away from each other for 1.5, 1.7 meter, or you need to like restaurant for example, you used to have 200 seats and now it's 20.
Yeah. Well, we've already just opened Biscotti with a lot less seating, and Aqua.
Yeah.
The Anantara Siam stayed open during this quarantine period to assist people that needed a hotel.
Yeah.
But I think that you'll see definitely we'll have to make do with less seats for sure. And that's probably going to be possible because there's less people going out right now, and there's a lot of people unemployed. There's a lot of people out of work. A lot of people on furlough and 50% pay cuts, and they're not going to spend as much as they used to spend.
Yeah.
So we're in for a tough time for the rest of this year.
Yeah. So if a new owner were to build a hotel, what would be your best advice for them? What kind of hotel would
Don't build it.
Don't do it?
Don't do it right now. There's oversupply of hotels. It's not a good way to invest one's money.
And this is coming from someone who actually managed your hotel?
That's right. And I'd rather that they hang on to their cash, survive, and live for another day. We got a lot of owners that were managing their hotels, and they're having a very hard time.
Do you have any programs or something that actually help your owners?
Well, we try to work with them to reduce their costs of operation,
Okay.
but we don't have. We're not a bank either, so unfortunately, we have to look after even our own hotels, and there we have to bear the burden of them.
Yeah.
But we're working closely with our owners, and I think we've seen. I think many of them are very appreciative of the fact that because we are also an owner, we know what the trigger points are for them and what the hot spots. So we're able to help them to overcome some of those. And if it means that they need money, then we're there also to try and help them find the money, whether it's from banks or what have you.
Okay. So that's good. That's comforting for all the owners out there that have Anantara, Avani hotels, Anish, and all that. So let's talk about destination. Destination like Maldives, I imagine it would suffer so much.
It's suffering right now. I just talked to them today.
Yeah. What can you share? What's
well,
going
there's
on?
no one's allowed to move between the islands.
Yeah.
So everybody's quarantined on their own island, wherever that may be. Mali has got several incidents, so we've just donated a testing machine to the Maldivian government and test kits so they can do more testing. A lot of the Sri Lankans can't get out because there's no flights, and the cost of a charter flight is so high where everyone's trying to help them get flights to get home because they're only an hour away.
Yeah.
And but because there's no flights flying, and the cost of these repatriation flights are very expensive.
Yeah.
So we're trying to help people on that. But the Maldives is going to have a slow recovery. I don't think you'll see the Maldives open up until probably August at the earliest.
Year. Okay. And it's always like international market, so domestic is out of question.
That's right. I think obviously the markets the low risk markets are the ones where people will be able to come. No one's going to travel with a 14-day quarantine.
No.
So pretty soon Thailand, if we get over our COVID and we become a low risk country, we're going to have to deal with other low risk countries like Taiwan or Hong Kong or Korea.
Yeah.
There's a question coming in now, so maybe expand on that. What do you think the government here should do about borders and opening?
I think it's really critical now that the government begin to open bilateral talks with other governments so that we can recognize when they reach a certain level of this corona crisis, new cases have fallen below 10, whatever, then we should allow visa on arrival entry, providing those people have been for 14 days in that country. They haven't come from any other high-risk country, then we should allow them to come here, and they should allow us to go there. So we can slowly open up travel again, visa-free travel.
Yeah.
And but if we insist on the quarantine, we must realize that no one's coming. So, as much as I wish we would be able to fill all our hotels with people spending 14 days at a time in quarantine, it's not going to be possible.
Yeah, it's true. Like, we want to be quarantined in Anantara for 14 days. Of course, it's nice.
We can arrange that.
Yeah, I love that very much. So I remember interviewing you way back, and you said you sleep just fine at night. You don't have
Still sleep very well
really?
at night. Yes, absolutely. I learned long ago that there's no sense worrying about things you can't control. I can't control the coronavirus. So as far as I'm concerned, all I can control is our response to it. Yeah. The only thing that will stress me is when I see us not responding correctly, by doing things wrong. For example, I see everybody wearing gloves in the restaurant, and I've told them stop it, because when you're wearing gloves, you're just transferring the germs everywhere else. Yeah. And what we really want is people to wash their hands more frequently. Yeah. So in the kitchen, it's another matter. Definitely we have people working in the kitchens handling food, and yes, they wear gloves, and they dispose of their gloves at regular intervals. Yep. But in the service area of the restaurant, I don't think gloves are necessary. Masks, by all means. Yep. And we should make it a little bit more fun. Benihana's got their own special Benihana mask. Yep. I don't want to go into a fun place for dinner and then not do it. I complained the other day, I want a bigger selection of zero alcohol wine. As long as we can't sell alcohol, then at least let's have a good selection of zero alcohol.
Good idea.
And let's have some sparkling non-alcoholic wines. And
do you have that?
And yes, we do. Oh. And to me, at least you can have a bottle sitting on the table. You don't feel so lonely when you go to a place like Aqua. Yeah. So,
or make a non-alcoholic Toblerone martini,
because I love it there. Yeah. So I'm after all of the managers for that. And, we've opened Benihanas. And we've tried to arrange so that the chef doesn't face anyone, and you can still cook in front of the guests, because it's no sense. Work? Well, you have the chef is 1.5 meters. No, he's 1.5 meters away from you. Yeah. So and he's cooking. Mm-hmm.
So that kind of ties into this, because Benihana is a shared meal.
Experience.
But people are asking, buffet is a thing of the past.
I hope not, but definitely we have restaurants like Sizzler. Mm-hmm. Which have got a salad bar, famous for their salad bars. We've got sneeze guards and other things, and I think, we're going to have to we can't change the way people like to eat, and so we're just going to have to be more careful, more space between the buffet, more social distancing in the buffet lines. Yeah. I'm not sure that, a lot of these things, we've got to recognize that the consumer isn't dumb. We're trying to limit people that go into a shopping center, but even if you limit the number of people, if they all go to one shop, what's the point? So to me, I would rather be responsible for making sure that I keep my social distance, and you shouldn't have to tell me how many people can enter the mall. So I think we're going to have to take a little bit of risk, and also allow that the people are not, our consumers are not completely dumb. There's not anyone I can think of in Thailand today that doesn't know about the corona, doesn't know about social distancing, doesn't know the importance of a mask. So I'm pretty impressed that how this is happening, and I think we're handling it better than many places in Europe or the United States.
It's true.
And it's when you look at the number of cases that we've had in Thailand, and believe me, the cases are accurate. The number of people that have died, I guarantee you, no one's dying without It's more likely that it's overstated than understated. Yeah. So we've had 54 deaths, I think, or 55. We've had 3,004 cases, and 2,800 people have already left the hospital, so they've been cured. So we've only got 200 people, and so I think Thailand has done a pretty good job. But they closed down early, they cut off alcohol, they did so many things that many other countries didn't dare to do. Yeah. And the Prime Minister acted strongly, and that's to be congratulated. But now, as we realize, we have to keep opening up slowly, but don't go backwards. Just because we have a few cases, which I'm sure we're going to have. Yeah. Korea just had a few cases, and they closed the bars. But you mustn't stop the whole economy. And what we did is we stopped the whole economy, and that was what had to be done. But now...
But you think it's time for us to recover and move
on? Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there any more questions from Mr. Otherwise?
Many questions.
Get something that's interesting.
Okay, so one question that's come through. There's a few there. with your recent statement about Airbnb, some people are saying that Airbnb might be a winner from this because of the whole social distancing thing. People not having to check in or be in there.
It could well be.
That's
Yes,
what
I
they
think.
say. So, what's your take on that?
I think there's going to be give and take for all of them, but I think I would be. I'm a user of Airbnb. My family has used Airbnb. Yes, we've gone on vacations, rented an Airbnb house or apartment. But I think today we'd probably be a little more cautious. So that doesn't mean the model doesn't work. It means that they're going to have to also rethink their model. This we're in a new environment now, and I guess I'd feel more confident when the brand is when I know Anantara's got a whole program, and they're taking full responsibility on that.
Yeah.
And I'm not it's not exactly that I'm overcrowded there.
Yeah.
And so if I did maybe I'd relook at it, but I think things are changing, and I'm sure Airbnb is recognizing that also.
I think for that question, if I may add, there would be something like OYO, for example, to come in and set some certain standard, like a hygiene standard for Airbnb hosts. So you kind of like, okay, I book for Airbnb, but it's certified by OYO. So that's kind of you will see more business coming through this for Airbnb, I think.
So while you get the distancing, you don't know if it's actually clean or not.
Yeah, exactly. So you overcome one problem, but you may inherit another one.
Yeah.
So tourism nonetheless will be with us to stay. It's the same thing that we've seen with the airlines. I was talking with Tony Fernandez, and the government is trying to insist on the middle seat not being used or filled, and that doesn't work in the low-cost airlines.
No.
So if you want low-cost airlines, then you're going to have to allow that. To me, people still smoke cigarettes, take the risk of their health. With just a warning. Well, take a warning. Yeah, when you go on a low-cost flight, yes, there's always a chance that you might get something. But if you wear a mask and if you're careful, you're probably not going to have any problem.
Like you mentioned airline. Now I want to ask: does your business MJet benefit from this? Like, do rich people now travel on private jet?
It's a bit like your Airbnb question. Yeah, there's some things you can't rely now on airlines. So yes, the people who can afford it will like to do it, but trust me, there's not very many people who can afford to spend, $10,000 to fly to Phuket by a private jet, and versus going for $100 or less on AirAsia. Yeah. So I think we're not going to get rid of the airlines, and there will be some business for the private jets, but they've got their challenges too. Because the cost of operations have gone up for them also.
True.
One question that keeps coming in different formats: how are you taking care of your staff, especially given the shutdown of many hotels? And that combined with another question asking about the luxury sector. Do you think there's going to be a staff-to-guest ratio shift after COVID?
Good question.
Yes, I think they're both good questions. I think first taking the question on the staff, I think that definitely you're going to see a shift somewhat, but please bear in mind that the occupancy of these hotels is not going to be very great. So even though there may be less staff, there's going to be a lot less guests. So I think that's going to come through. As far as we've tried to work hard with the government. We spent as a company over the last 3 years, we spent over 600 million baht in payments to Social Security as a company.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to make sure that our staff that we've had to furlough are able to avail themselves of that Social Security money. And sometimes they're having trouble getting it, and we're working hard to make sure that they can get it.
But that's not from your part, right?
That's from the Social Security side.
Yeah.
We've had people that are working without pay. We have people taking leave without pay. We have all sorts of things. But the big thing for us is just to try to reduce the cost, but keep as many people working as possible.
Yeah, and sometimes it's really hard. Like I know this kind of questions coming in a lot, but as a business owner, sometimes you can't keep everyone. You just
Well, again, what's
try.
important, I think everybody recognizes, certainly our staff have been very supportive of the fact that it's important the company survive, because if the company doesn't survive, there isn't going to be able to bring back all the people that we've had to furlough.
Yeah.
So it's, I think everyone realizes this is such a global catastrophe that actually there's greater understanding by almost everybody involved than there ever was before. A lot of people would think, the companies are trying to, make more money or save themselves. Listen, we only want to survive.
Yeah.
We're not going to, we're going to have a first quarter announcement next week, and people are going to see how much we lost. We've never lost so much money in the first quarter as we're going to announce. We've had to cut dividends, recommend to the shareholders. So the business owners are not going to be getting any dividends this year because the cash is going to be, very tight. And when you're seeking help from the banks don't want to see you giving money back to shareholders. And so everyone's suffering, and everyone is being encouraged to take the steps necessary to survive.
Given that there has been such a shake-up to the industry, should the government / should you, Bill, be looking at other industries for more investment focus rather than tourism as we move forward?
Yes, but we're a tourism company, so for us, I'm not going to go into oil and gas and other things. I'm going to look for ways that we will be able to win some of those guests back.
Yeah.
We've got so much invested in the tourism industry, and I think, as I've said before, tourism isn't going to disappear because of the corona. It didn't disappear after the Spanish flu or any of the other pandemics that we have. So travel will go on.
People will travel.
People will travel, and the world will recover from this. It may take a little longer than people think, but we will recover.
When do you think that will take place, the recovery stage? Like, if you can...
We'll be lucky if we get, in the second quarter, start to see some domestic travel. We'll be lucky if some global, some travel comes in from regional by the third quarter. And maybe in the fourth quarter, we would be lucky enough to see some international.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Okay.
Maybe. And then next year we'll begin to hopefully see a base that we can build from. So, but airlines like Emirates, when will they be able to fly?
Yeah.
When will people accept somebody coming from Europe or stopping in Dubai for one night and then coming on to Thailand?
Yeah.
So it's a whole new world that we're in, and no one's got the answers yet.
Yeah, so just have to hang tight in there. Nobody knows the solid questions to that. And is there any more questions?
There are many questions.
Okay, I'll give another two more.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. So looking at, say, OTAs versus direct bookings, do you think that this situation might help shift things towards more direct bookings?
I think so. I appreciate the OTAs have to earn a living too, and we certainly try to work with them. The only thing which has ever been a question from the hotels with the OTAs is the price that they're charging, the amount that they charge, the commission. If they're at 10%, then I think everybody can afford to pay an OTA. But if they're gonna be above that, then it gets very hard. I think a lot of people, I know that many of the people that I've spoken to, they've had incidents where they weren't able to get their money back, or there's been a change of flight schedules, and all of these, including not only OTAs, but discount brokers that handle airline tickets. Everybody has been caught in this. Yeah. And to me, the one thing which I tell my staff and I tell is make sure you're working direct with the principal. Because if anything goes wrong, you've got the best possible chance of getting your money back, changing your booking, doing whatever. If you're working with a broker in between, either the broker is going to get screwed because the hotel won't return their money, or the broker won't give back the money to the customer. So to me, you try to eliminate middlemen at a time like this.
Yeah, and make the most of your direct booking.
So 2 in 1 here. Question. Will this have an effect on hotel design, given things like people spending more space apart and whatnot? And then other things also, do you think room service will be elevated or be less as we reopen?
I think it'll be both. I think you'll see room service elevated when people do order room service, but I think you'll also see people that will defocus on room service, and you'll have guests that don't want room service because they'd rather go and see what they're eating and be able to discover whether they're comfortable themselves. So I think everything will still be accommodated, but they'll be in differing demands, which makes the cost of travel and tourism more expensive. So you're still going to have room service, but now you're going to have to elevate it, but you may not have as many people taking it. So, we're all going to be caught in these dilemmas.
Yeah.
And then they asked, so what opportunities are you seeing in this?
Well, as I mentioned, one opportunity we do see is when people travel is that they want to accomplish something besides a great experience, whether it's health, and that's one of the reasons why we've kept going with our health programs.
Yep.
But I think other opportunities we're looking, but it's right now we just really want to get some of our old ones back functioning again. Hotels open and restaurants open. We're closed in London. All of our restaurants, Wolseley, Delaney's, Benihana's, Patra's, they're all closed. And whereas in Thailand, our delivery business has had huge growth.
Yeah.
We're our delivery business in Bangkok is nearly as big as our pre-crisis. And we've also we've opened all of our hotels in Vietnam. We have 5 hotels operating in Vietnam, and they're only operating with domestic business, but they're probably breaking even.
How are they in Vietnam, like your hotels?
We have one in Da Nang, in Hoi An actually, and we have 2 in Quy Nhon. We have one in Phan Thiet, and we have one in Haiphong. And then we have all of our restaurants have reopened in China for dine-in. And we're beginning to see that is almost back to pre-crisis levels.
Oh, wow.
So what it was in December. So we do see little streams of light, coming through that are a bit bright, and now we've got to make sure that a little bit of that translates into Thailand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, one more.
But it's coming back into that same point. I think there was a lot of questions, but this one in particular keeps recurring, is the actual layout of hotels, the design of your future hotels. Are you really considering any big changes as a result of this?
I don't think there'll be huge changes, but I think there'll be lots of small, considerate changes, and that'll be flexible. Who's to say we're not going to have another pandemic 10 years down the road? So we have to make sure that we're going to be able to accommodate those things. And again, the pandemic may just have an impact until the vaccine is found. Do you want to change everything? People are social. Will they change all their? They're really not going to go to a football game again. They're really not going to go to a Formula One race. So we've got to get past this, whether it's through herd immunity or through a vaccine or through learning to live with this disease.
Yeah.
And when that happens, then we'll get back to doing things normally. But yeah, I'm sure there will be a few things that certainly you're not going to be trying to crowd people into a tight, small, little intimate restaurant where they're sitting on top of each other.
Yeah.
I already see it happening in offices. We all started going towards these warm hot seats or whatever we call them in offices, but everybody was sitting 0.75 centimeters away from each other. Well, I think already office design is going to have to change, because suddenly this hot seat, where you don't have your own desk and you come in and then are you going to trust the other guy's computer, and you're going to wipe it down with your sanitary disposable towel, and so things are definitely going to change. But nonetheless, we're still going to want to go to the office. We're still going to want to have travel. We're still going to want to stay in a nice hotel room, and it's going to have to function. It's crazy that if you're living together but you can't go dine together. We carry it too far. So if you're a family and you're living in the same house, why can't you sit together? So sooner or later we're going to come back to reality, and the governments will come back to reality and realize that some things that they want to do aren't really going to work. But all in all, I think the new norm is going to be very different from the old norm.
Have you put expansion plans on hold? And for yourself and future potential demand, have you readjusted?
We don't see any future demand at the moment. Right now we're just trying to figure out how to get open. We're a small player. We have less than 550 hotels, but how do we get the 550? We're probably looking at a 2-year just to get reopened in all of our hotels. So we'll definitely get 1 hotel or 2 hotels open, but in Milan we have 12 hotels. So how many can, are they going to need to get open? So I think we're not really looking at new supply, and we'll be focused more on trying to get our old supply up and running.
Yeah.
And what you're going to see is a lot of people will be a bit smaller. When we come out of this, assuming that we come out of it, we're going to be considerably smaller than we were before we went into it. So, there will be some hotels that will just say, look, in the new norm, this probably isn't going to make it now, and especially it may be a leased hotel or maybe whatever, and we'll just say, time to go. Maybe it'll be a better apartment building or an office building or what have you. So there's going to be changes to the whole thing, and it's a reset, But I just came back from Phuket the other day, and Phuket, my God, the beaches are looking beautiful. The sharks are all around. The marine life is fantastic. The coral life. So one of the things I'm looking forward to being able to travel again in Thailand.
Yeah, domestic.
Domestic travel is going to be beautiful again.
We have Nick Downing. He has a special question. Beyond the short term, should health and safety standard certification be required or enforceable once all this is cleared?
Absolutely. I think, health and safety have always been there. I think it's probably, we're more used to it in the food business than we are probably in hotels. Hotels haven't paid much attention to it because they don't have much food and beverage. But when you're in the food and beverage business, trust me, the salmonella and everything else that you can transmit, people can get food poisoning so easily. And we have very strict requirements, and there's self-discipline. But you don't find many people getting sick in a pizza company or a Sizzler or a Dairy Queen or a thing, because we have these strict regulations. The hotels haven't had to have them, but I think you'll now see the hotels joining the crowd on that. Yeah. So, but definitely, I think we do have many different kinds of legislation that reviews our safety and health and safety for restaurants. There's probably less in the hotel side.
And do you see a price war happening when it comes to mice post-pandemic?
I wish I didn't, but people are so desperate. You can't fault anyone. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of price cutting and people trying to get people back. I wish we could all stay and keep our rates firm, but when you see, how many hotels do we have in Thailand? They're totally empty. There's nobody here. Yeah. How are we going to get people back into those hotels? And I'm sure there's going to be deals given away over the next 6 to 12 months that, you may never see again, or at least not until we have another pandemic.
It's true.
So, but it's going to be very hard to try and keep, rates too high.
And someone even mentioned here too, another challenge, I guess, is going to be getting back on all cylinders. It'll almost be like a soft opening for the properties.
It's true.
They're all going to be very, very soft openings.
Yeah. So if there would be a last word from you to our audience, who's hoteliers and hotel owners and some of the people that are working for you, what would that be?
Stay confident, stay focused, make this a learning experience. It is a crisis. We will come out of it, at least with our health, I think, and we're going to discover a new norm, and we better accept it. Times are changing, and it's the people that don't change that will have the hardest time.
Yeah, so it's not the strongest that survive, it's the one that can adapt to the new change that will survive.
Yeah, and not running out of cash.
And not running out of cash, which is very important to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Bill. And for you guys that are here today, thank you so much. Don't forget to go to hotelinter.co, subscribe to our newsletter, and we have a next new announcement because we are acquiring 2 new companies. So we'll stay tuned to that as well. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you.